Good morning, people. How are we doing? Welcome to the show. I am still setting up because I made the mistake of going on someone else's stream this morning for a short time. And so this time, me being behind is of my own accord. But, I'll get it fixed here in a second. Hey, how are we doing? Today, it's the day that everybody loves, FTG Thursday. Excuse me. I need a sip of my reparations here. And I actually found things that were designed for this day, and we'll go through some of those. I'm sure you'll see as we go along. We have plenty of FTGs today, and I can even find more if I don't have enough. I have so many tabs open, but we're not going to read through some of the stories. I opened a bunch of them just for the headlines alone because I thought it was pretty interesting, and so we'll see how that goes. Anyway, I hope you're ready for the show. I need to take a moment here and play the intro so I can get caught up on a couple things I haven't done yet. So, Johnny, play the intro, please. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Knight. All righty then, stop that music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as Dawg Knight on the internet. And welcome back to the Dawg Knight Channel. It is Thursday, FTG Thursday, what we do on the Morning Night Live, and that would be the 5th of August, 2021. It is Lady Boomer's birthday, and we're having a nice meal with my daughter and future son-in-law this evening, and I have a couple little surprises for her, but also this is like one of those weekends that we traditionally go to Grandma's cabin up in northwest Wisconsin on a lake up there, and we do that activity. But she goes up there by herself she and Grandma Kay go up there, and then what is that thing? That's weird. Anyway, they go up there and one night, and then me and the kids used to show up on Saturday morning, and then we go out and play some golf and go out on the pontoon boat and whatever it is. But it might be raining this weekend in this part of the country, and I'd be bummed if that happened, but it will be a nice, relaxing time for all of us. Unfortunately, though, my daughter can't make it this year, and but that's why we're going out to dinner with her tonight. And then my son is actually going to go up Friday night, and we're going to do that golf thing in the morning, and then he's got to leave. So it's just me and Lady Boomer and Grandma. But it'll be fun. It's fun every year. And yes, Lady Boomer. Yes, if you want to. In fact, I think. Well, I don't even know. I better not do that. I was going to say I could give you her Twitter or Instagram, but I don't think she doesn't ever go on Twitter anyway. Anyway, so it's Lady Boomer's birthday, and we're excited about that. So it's Thursday. It's FTG Thursday, and we definitely have at least a couple for sure. And then I just have, like I said, I have a whole bunch of tabs open, but they kind of keep hitting the same general direction today, as you'll see. But before we do that, let's say good morning to the people in the chat. Whoa, I'm telling you, I got a little gassy today. I'm not sure how to fix that if I'm just a little gassy. And I mean, just if I drink a little coffee, I'll be better. Anyway, I'm happy to see you. Let's get into the chat here. First in the chat today is Advocatus Diablo, the devil's advocate who gets the bell. And congratulations for being first today. Also, good morning to my favorite Canadian Jaeger pony. What's happening? Also, good morning, Gunfox61, who helps us keep the Discord server in order, and thank you so much for that. Also, good morning, Jonathan Peterson, Renee Mayette, TOS, aka the Shroom, is in the house. Also, good morning, Select Boy. Yeah, boy. And also D.I. Freighter Watcher, and let's see, Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, Somnambuled Nation. And oh, by the way, thank you for sharing the stream, because I failed to do that this morning, so I'm just going to retweet you and Maddie, and I appreciate you guys putting the show out there, because I like I said, I was too I was goofing around on the Amazing Lucas's stream. He streams for hours and hours and hours, and he gets people on there and they talk about funny stuff once he gets past his disagreement day. And I want to go on his show because as far as the disagreement part, because there are things that I disagree with him. Now he hasn't changed, but he's changed kind of his focus, and he likes to give everybody a little bit of crap, and sometimes I think he's a little bit off base. But anyway, if you follow Lucas, you know what I mean. Some would say they started calling him the amazing liberal, but he's not a liberal. He he's finding BS in a lot of things and things that I disagree with. I'll go on and disagree with him one of these days, but for now it was just fun going on because we were laughing about tall people, and he made some remark about tall people. Anyone over 6'2" should be in the circus. And being a 6'4" American, I thought, hey, yo, wait a minute. Chicks dig tall guys. I'm telling you. I know from my own experience, but, well, my former experience. I've been happily married 28 years, but, I'm just saying. Anyway, also, who else is here? I don't know why I went off on that tangent. Good morning, Aaron Meredith. Nice to see you. And I said Somnambule Nation. Good morning, Maddie. Thanks for tweeting out the show. I just retweeted you. And Wikipedia snippets in the house. What's up? San just subscribed. I thought you were already subscribed. Well, I'm glad you're subscribing now. I appreciate that. Also, good morning to, who else is here? It was Jim Beams in the house. Nice to see you. I wonder if you accidentally got unsubscribed because you subscribed a long time ago. Anyway, Jesse Leon's here. Good morning. I said Renee Mayette. Who else am I missing here? Mr. Yes, what's up? Also, I'm down at the bottom. And Richo's in the house, our friend from Down Under. Nice to have you here. All right. So, guys love for chicks. Chicks love tall guys. It's science. Yeah, it's science. And that's why chicks dig me. I always laugh when I say that because, I'm an old man now. Chicks don't dig me. Anyway, or do they? I don't know. Anyway. All right. So, basketball, you were too good. Oh, was that yesterday? I didn't. It's funny because Americans are not following the Olympics, and particularly this particular American is not following the Olympics like I used to. I really enjoy the Olympics. I just don't watch TV that much, and the Olympics are on what was known as, we call prime time here, between like 7 and 10 o'clock, and I'm usually asleep by 8:30 in the evening because I have an early morning schedule where I get up at 3 in the morning and work in the morning. So my days are my Overton window called a day starts earlier and ends early to bed, early to rise. Not that makes me any more healthy, wealthy, or wise, but it does just change my schedule. And so when I am awake in that other primetime hours, I usually am either hanging out with Lady Boomer or whatever, because her schedule is not like mine either. So our together time in the evening is usually between like 6 and 8, and then I go to bed early, and then she's either watching a movie or something. But anyway, the basketball started at 1 a.m. USA time. Yeah, I was probably in REM sleep waiting for my alarm to go off at 1 a.m. my time. Anyway, so I missed some of that. And plus it's a little bit hard for me to watch sports. And I don't mean from a political sense, although I am disappointed that, a lot of the sports and have been so politicized. Although, did y'all see that American wrestler, the woman wrestler who won a gold medal, and she was so happy. And then they asked her about, because she was wearing the flag around, and she was so proud to be representing the United States and loved the country and whatnot. And it was just refreshing to see someone have joy when they're talking about America, living in the United States. And then she mentioned her father was from Ghana, and so I maybe explained it a little more to me because, immigrants and offspring of immigrants tend to appreciate our country more, knowing that knowing that what it's like maybe in the country they're formerly in. So I don't know. It is what it's. Cryptic, nice to see you. By the way, I see Cryptic in the house. Cryptic, I saw you. I think it was on Lord's the Night the other night. Was it last night? I was on there for just a few minutes just before I went to sleep, and I did see you. And by the time I responded to you, you were already gone. So I just want to let you know I saw you. Also, thank you, Cryptic, for being the first sponsor of the show today with the 5 for the YouTube Super Chat, who says, does Hawaii allow loud laughs, or just aloha? Yes, Cryptic. Yes, Cryptic. They do allow low laugh or high laugh. What is it? Loud laughs. Thank you, Cryptic. Always make my day when you tell those jokes. That was a good one. Anyway, so let's talk about other things that are not the Olympics. Although, and I'm not keeping up with the Olympics. That's the long story short. Back in the day, I lived in a house built in colonial times when people were shorter, and I couldn't stand up when I was upstairs. They're not rare in New England. Yeah, you don't see that much where I live. At least, even the older houses here tend to have. The older houses tend to have almost bigger, gaudier doors and higher ceilings and stuff like that. But that's from an era when that was kind of the thing. But you get into really old houses like in the East Coast, and you'll find a lot of houses where the doorways are shorter and the ceilings are shorter. And I've been, and that's out in I think was it Pittsburgh? Maybe it was in Philadelphia. I was in Pennsylvania somewhere at a really old house that was built, like in it might have been 1700s even, or early 1800s. And yeah, the doorways were all shorter, and like, how do you walk through this house? But I didn't hit my head on the doors. It's just they were awfully close to my head, and I'm like, God, these doors are so short. It makes me nervous. Anyway, good morning, People's Front of Canada. I see you. Good morning. And someone else just showed up. Well, I said hi to Cryptic. Anyway, let's get into the news, shall we? Shall we get into some of the news? Now, I'm going to try to go through some of these quickly because I don't want to spend the whole time on one subject. But the big thing yesterday, or at least in my mind, that I really didn't talk about as much, we spent a lot of time talking about Andrew Cuomo, and I'm not, while I have several tabs open about him, I'm not going to talk about him much today. But yesterday, the White House and the president, and I, like I said, I mentioned this yesterday, that they seem to be taking shots at Ron DeSantis a lot, and also Abbott in Texas and Ron DeSantis in Florida, because those are the states where the governors are saying, we have local rule here, and we're going to kind of do our thing, and we've been doing okay, and we don't necessarily need a central government telling us what works here, because and here's the thing, I keep saying this, and while I watch these reports they're making a big deal about, these 19 cases are up in Florida, they're up in Texas, they're all up in the red states, except the state that has probably right now, at least as far as percentage cases, and I've noticed they always talk about percentage cases, but the highest percentage of new cases is not Texas nor Florida, although they like to say 1/3 of all new cases are in Florida and Texas, except Louisiana per capita has like the highest caseload now, but you don't hear them talk about the governor of Indiana that much, or not Indiana, Louisiana. The governor of Louisiana that much, and I wonder why that is. Because they like to talk about DeSantis, they like to talk about Abbott, but they don't talk about the governor from Louisiana, like blaming that governor for whatever's happening there. And wait. I just thought of it. The governor from Louisiana He's a Democrat. They're not going to mention him. You figured it out. Okay, never mind. Anyway, so the White House. Good morning, Crython Madness, by the way. The White House is turning up the heat on DeSantis and Abbott over masks. Because, masks are the perfect barrier for the 19. It will protect you 1,000%. And none of the places where they have the facial diapers have they ever had any cases of the 19. It's been a perfectly sane way to keep people safe because it's perfect and all that stuff. The White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, aka Raggedy Ann, delivered harsh critiques of Tuesday of Governor Ron DeSantis and Greg Abbott's decision to ban mask and vaccine mandates in their respective states. According to President Joe Biden's coronavirus response team, roughly 1/3 of all new cases in the country last week came from Florida and Texas. Is that true? Anyway, 7 states have both a statewide ban on mask mandates and a prohibition on school districts from requiring masks in schools. And some states have even banned businesses and universities from requiring workers and students to be vaccinated, Psaki told reporters Tuesday's White House briefing. In fact, the most extreme of these measures is in Texas, where you can be fined. A teacher can be fined if they ask a student if they are vaccinated or if they ask unvaccinated students to wear masks. Psaki proceeded to pose a fundamental, quote, fundamental question, end quote, to those in the briefing room. What are we doing here? Well, should we ask Sweden what they're doing there? Because they had no stupid 19 deaths last month, and they never had a mask mandate, or, they don't have, what do they call it? What do they say? Required vaccinations, mandatory vaccinations, but they seem to be doing okay. And again, Texas and Florida. Florida's been open for a good long part of the pandemic and still is only 25th per capita and below the national average, state averages for the stupid 19 in cases and deaths. And now, granted, they have more numerically because they're large population states. I'm curious, too, when they say, so Texas and Florida, 2 of the largest population states, have 1/3 of the cases. I wonder if any of the other largest population states account for another big section or big proportion of the total new cases in the United States. Because you would think, because even back, they obviously you're going to account for a larger percentage being the largest population states. There's 2 other large population states. I wonder how much they account for as far as a percentage or fraction of the total cases. They didn't mention that, but anyway, later. Oh, and so here she consented. Here, let's listen to her. How long is this? This too long? Oh no, this is 2 hours. I'm not gonna go through the whole 2-hour thing. Is this the marks here? Nope, that's another 2 hours. I'm not going through that one. Well, let's talk about the specific remarks. Psaki, she continued, you'll hear the president talk a little bit about this later this afternoon. His message is going to be, we're all in this fight together, whether it's Democratic or Republican governors. And I will note most Republican governors are doing exactly the right thing and do what they're told by the White House. Oh, no, that's not what she said. Sorry. Most Republican governors are doing exactly the right thing and advocating for and taking steps to advocate for more people to get vaccinated, she continued. But if you aren't going to help, you aren't going to abide by public health guidance, then get out of the way and let people do the right thing to lead their communities, whether they are teachers, university leaders, private sector leaders, or others who are trying to save lives. Bitch, please. Later at the Tuesday's briefing, Psaki pointed to comments she made on the topic the day prior. At a point in every leader's life, they have to make a decision about whether they're going to abide by public health guidelines to save people's lives or whether they're going to be guided by politics. Hey, how about being guided by freedom and let people make choices for themselves? And in fact, well, I'm going to skip this because it's not like they're telling people to go out and suck face with an illegal immigrant who's came in here with COVID. Oh, wait. Not exactly, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Let's move on, though. So, and again, this is Biden attacks. Biden makes the same attack. Oh, interesting. They had the same talking points. Speaking on Tuesday, President Biden attacked Florida Governor Ron DeSantis and Texas Governor Greg Abbott, ranting that they aren't willing to do the right thing to beat this pandemic. If they aren't going to help, at least get out of the way. Use your power to save lives. Hello, Trideos. Now, here's the thing. You know the thing.
You know the thing.
Let me finish this. Biden's nasty attack on the two governors ignores one salient fact. While he castigates them for their policies, their states are positioned far down the list when it comes to death rates from the 19. And I give you some statistic totals there. We'll skip that. Here's Biden himself. Oh, maybe not. This is the damn Daily friggin' Wire. Hang on a second. Let me take care of this because the Daily Wire always does this crap. I don't know. Wait, hold on. Is there a way to unmute site?
The entire country.
Oh, I'm so stupid.
Just 2 states. Look, we need leadership from everyone. If some governors aren't willing to do the right thing to beat this pandemic, then they should allow businesses and universities who want to do the right thing to be able to do it. I say to these governors, please help. But if you aren't going to help, at least get out of the way of the people who are trying to do the right thing.
Okay, so that's the talking point right now.
Use your power to save lives.
At least
the escalation of cases.
Okay, all right, Mr. Whisper Man. Can we just say FTG President Sundown? Thank you. All right. So now, Ron DeSantis, being ever the one to not necessarily keep his yap shut, and I'm glad he doesn't, has fired back. Now, it's interesting because there was this site called The Recount, which is not necessarily a DeSantis-friendly site, kind of gave some very limited clips, right? Some limited clips of what DeSantis said. And so here's what they let's see. Here's what they put out there. So they put this clip. Oh, come on. I don't want that to happen. Come on. Let's try this again. I don't want this guy. F that guy. All right, here we go. We'll unmute him here.
A proper in-person. If you're trying to deny kids a proper in-person education, I'm going to stand in your way, and I'm going to stand up for the kids in Florida.
Okay, this was part of his speech.
If you're trying to restrict people, impose mandates, if you're trying to ruin their jobs and their livelihoods and their small business, if you are trying to lock people down, I am standing in your way, and I'm standing for the people of Florida. So why don't you do your job? Why don't you get this border secure? And until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you.
Now, that's a reference to an interesting fact we'll show in a minute. By the way, good morning, Legit Low Talker. Nice to see you. And also, Johnny Blaze is in the house. Nice to see you. That isn't necessarily the clip I was trying to, but that one works. And then the clip that the Recount put up, though, was kind of annoying. Here it is right here. Let me see. Here we go again. Whatever. I'll play the clip from via Twitter. I will leave all these up because I don't know how they play on yours. So the Recount puts out this clip. Okay, this is a 17-second clip. Listen to this.
Joe Biden has taken to himself to try to single out Florida over COVID. This is a guy who ran for president saying he was going to, quote, shut down the virus. And what has he done? He's imported more virus from around the world by having a wide open southern border.
Yeah.
Joe Biden has taken to himself to try to single out Florida over COVID.
Okay, that's the same one. And then he now here's the other clip that the recount puts up. Now it's
why don't you do your job? Why don't you get this border secure? And until you do that, I don't want to hear a blip about COVID from you. Thank you.
Now, what's fascinating about the clip that they put on here, okay, they put a very, very limited clip of what he said. And so hang on a second. Let me see if we can find the one. Let's see, is this the full one? Well, here, we'll open this article too. I think I have this one open somewhere else. But the speech itself lasted about 5 minutes. And there was a lot more to it than what this outlet put out there. And let's see, let me go down this part of the article here. The speech lasted less than 5 minutes. DeSantis ripped Biden on various issues, noting that Biden had claimed he would shut down the virus as the presidential candidate, but had imported more of the virus with his lassitude. They need an editor. Regarding illegal immigration at the southern border, that a member of Biden's administration had told parents that they should be wearing masks at home when they were around their own children, a notion DeSantis called insane, that Biden believes that vaccination should be mandated by force of government, but DeSantis believes the decision ultimately should be left to the individual, that Biden believes law-abiding citizens should have produced proof of their medical records just to go to a gym or attend an event or just to participate in everyday society, but if you want to vote, he thinks it's too much of a burden to show a picture ID when you're voting. So no voter ID, but you have to show your medical papers just to be able to live in everyday life. Hello. If I had what'd you call it? If I had a counterpoint to FTG that was like, yes, that guy, I would do that. But anyway, good morning, Sydney. How are you? So anyway. Example of governors we need, not people like Cuomo or Newsom's bitch ass. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, so let's see what the PD. Here's the. I'll just leave this article open. It kind of says the same thing as the Daily Wire article, except I want the clip. I want to give you a clip that has the entire speech because it was pretty brilliant. Anyway, let's move on. We'll skip this, and go on to the AP now. Let me make sure I got the right one here. So then we get this article from the Associated Press and talking about how immigrant detentions soar despite Biden's campaign promises. And they have the story of this poor man, poor Alexander Martinez. You gotta feel so sorry for poor Alexander Martinez. Alexander Martinez said that he fled from homophobia, government persecution, and the notorious MS-13 gang in El Salvador, only to run into abuse and harassment in America's immigration detention system. Now, I'm just curious because, oh, by the way, since crossing the border illegally in April, the 28-year-old has bounced between 6 different facilities in 3 states. He has said he contracted the 19, faced racist taunts and abuse from guards, and was harassed by fellow detainees for being gay. Are they just trying to create a narrative of these poor people who've crossed into our country illegally? And with the saddest story, because I know, well, this is just a shot, but I have a chaser coming, so we're coming here. We're getting here. Oh, by the way, I was thinking about this. I always thought in international law, if you were going to seek like asylum or something like that, if you're avoiding persecution, don't you normally have to seek asylum in the first country that would be able to accept you on your once you leave your country? And I think what did they say? He crossed the border illegally. We don't have a border with El Salvador, so I'm just completely dumbfounded that this guy is seeking it here and not a country between here and El Salvador, because Mexico's offered these people asylum. Anyway, He says, I'm finding myself emotionally unstable because I have suffered a lot in detention, Martinez said. Last week at Wynn Correctional Center in Louisiana, I never imagined or expected to receive this inhumane treatment. Wait a minute. I thought you were fleeing homophobia, covert persecution, and the notorious MS-13 gang in El Salvador. I mean, which is worse? I mean, do you want to go home? Because I think we will give you a ticket home if you really, feeling bad about coming to our country illegally. Anyway, so the point is, this story is this hagiography of this poor detainee. And so the number of detainees has more than doubled since the end of February to nearly 27,000 as of July 22nd. According to the most recent data from U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, that's above the roughly 22,000 detained last July under then-President Donald Trump, though it's nowhere close to the record August 2019 when the number of detainees exceeded 55,000. ICE data shows. Wait a minute! Why are there only 27,000 detainees? That's my question. Because there's been record numbers of people coming across the border illegally. Why are there only 27,000 detainees as of July 22nd? Could it be they're doing a little catch and release? Well, to answer that question, we'll go to the next article. And this is, now, there's a surge, the surge of stupid 19 cases in Texas and Florida. They said that 1/3 of all new cases are in Texas. Well, more than 1,500 19 cases positive migrants, you mean illegal immigrants, released in 1 week into a Texas border town, just one Texas border town. 1,500 19 positive migrants. A border in McAllen, Texas, a border city in South Texas, declared a local disaster this week as it struggles to respond to surging cases of stupid 19 among migrants as thousands are released by the Border Patrol onto the street every week. Last week, a record high 7,000 migrants were released in downtown McAllen. In downtown McAllen, they just let them go and they got to figure out where they immediately tested for the stupid 19 through a city contractor. More than 1,500 people tested positive over the past 7 days, according to a city document issued Wednesday, compared to a total of 7,000 confirmed cases over the past 5 months. So, now, because let's not get this confused. 7,000 were released last week. And they've been doing this nonstop. And 1,500 were 19 positive. I wonder if that is a contributor to what did the Biden administration say? That 1/3 of all the new cases of the 19 are in Texas and Florida. Well, seems like we're just, what did DeSantis say? We're importing cases? That might be. Fact check. Hello? Factcheck.org. Sounds like that one's true. Yes. See? FTG to, well, I can't blame the Border Patrol. It's Sundowner Joe and the Biden administration. FTG Biden administration. Click. I'm sorry. The city said in a statement that the shockingly large number of immigrants released by Customs and Border Protection into the city overwhelmed Catholic Charities, which provides humanitarian services in the city for migrants. This significant change increases the threat of stupid 19 spread and other lawlessness within the city. Well, yeah, it's just releasing them. What the hell are they doing? And the other part too is they're sending them. Flying them and busing them to other cities around the country. They're just send them. That's why there's a bunch of what DeSantis was saying. They're sending some of these migrants that are coming across the border, apparently they're coming mostly through Texas, and I don't know why that is. Maybe there's some kind of welcome wagon trail that says, hey, you know what? Because if you come through Texas, we're gonna find ways to get you into the country and spread y'all out and stuff. I'm sure it's happening in Arizona and New Mexico and California too, but I know more of the wall was built there. I don't get it. I don't get everyone. They're going to mandate masks and vaccination cards and passports in New York City, but we're going to just let people come across the border that have stupid 19, and we're not going to say, oh, we're going to restrict you or keep you somewhere. No, we're just going to release you into the public without, Why aren't they testing them before they release them? That's what I don't understand. I do not understand at all why they're not tested beforehand. Anyone got a good reason? I still haven't come up with one. All right, what is this in here? Let's see. I'm gonna keep them in order. Oh, so yeah, this is the same thing. Government released over 7,000 stupid 19 migrants in McAllen, Texas. On Monday, we watched Border Patrol drop off a busload of migrants in downtown McAllen all day long, every 30 minutes. So they're just bringing it. Oh my God. So they're bringing them into McAllen every 30 minutes. Another bus loads, and they're just dropping them off. Like, to go where? Here's Bill. Okay, news. City of McAllen, Texas says the federal government has released over 7,000 stupid 19 positive immigrants in their city since February, including over 1,500 new infected in just the last week alone. Okay, so that's basically the same article, this guy tweeting this. That's insanity. That is straight insanity. But I don't know. It's crazy. Hidalgo County Judge Richard Cortez declared a local state of disaster on Monday. According to the city, McAllen, since February, there have been over 7,000 confirmed stupid 19 positive immigrants released into the city by Customs Border Patrol, including 1,500 new cases in the past 7 days. And then Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande previously released a statement explaining migrants were tested before entering the facility. Negative cases were allowed in, and positive cases were placed in other areas to avoid the continued spread of stupid 19. And imagine, I got to think, do you think perhaps, because the funny thing is these migrants that are not mostly from Mexico, by the way, they've in this surge of migrants coming across the border, that they've had people from, I think, 100 different countries. So do you think there's a tourism industry that finds a way for you to get to Mexico so that you can cross the border illegally into the United States? Because they're finding people from, I remember, what was it? There was a whole family they caught that was from Ghana or someplace in Africa. I'm like, how the hell do you cross the border from Mexico into the United States when you're from Ghana? You're coming from an entirely different continent. I don't get it. Anyway, Monday evening, McAllen Mayor Javier Villalobos, whose city is the largest in Hidalgo County, issued a disaster declaration. The city's declaration is due to the high number of migrants that the city is dealing with, as the Department of Homeland Security releases hundreds of migrants per day in downtown McAllen to the care of the nonprofit Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, which is operating out of a building owned by the city. The county's two-page declaration, which declares the U.S. Customs and Border Protection is releasing an alarmingly substantial number of immigrants into the city of McAllen, is different from the disaster proclamation issued by Abbott on May 31st, 2021. The city's two-page declaration was similar to the text and tone and is also valid for 7 days, at which time it will require a vote of the city commission to extend. So this is insanity. It's insanity. Hello, Bosch Tube. How you doing? All right, let's move on here. We're gonna just switch gears here because now I'm into the FTG part of the show, and this one I just found funny. So some of these are going to be in order, some are going to be in theme, some are not. But Bill Gates it made the news a little while ago. because he's saying that I made a mistake while trying to explain his relationship with the man who didn't end himself. You know that guy, who that is, right? Jeffrey Epstein. Gates describes a culmination of his marriage with Melinda French Gates as a very sad milestone. He was on with Anderson Cooper. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates, in an interview on Wednesday, admitted that his interactions with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein were a huge mistake. Yes, I'm sure they were. Yes, he said, I had several dinners with him, hoping that what he said about getting billions of philanthropy for global health through contacts he had might emerge. Okay, so he was okay. I don't have the whole article because it's the Independent, and But here, let's see if some of it's here. How long is this? 41 seconds. Here's Bill Gates in 41 seconds. Let's listen to this.
Can you explain your relationship with Epstein? Did you have any concerns? Was there ever any concerns you had about it?
Oh, certainly. I had several dinners with him.
Yes.
Hoping that what he said about getting billions of
They do kind of look
philanthropy
alike.
for
You're right.
global health through contacts that he had might emerge. When it looked like that wasn't a real thing, that relationship ended. But it was a huge mistake.
Whoa. Hang on a minute. Did he say that, did he just make it sound like, oh, they met one time and then that wasn't what I thought it was going to be, that relationship ended? Because didn't the reason they divorced, him and Melinda, Melinda French Gates or whatever they call her, isn't one of the reasons they are getting divorced is because she thought he spent too much time with Epstein or something about marital advice or something or another, when who knows? He makes it sound like, oh, I just met with them about some philanthropy, and in the mortal words of Robert Plant, ooh, it makes me wonder.
To spend time with him, to give him the credibility of being there. There were lots of others in that same situation.
Oh, there are lots of others in that same situation.
Mistake.
What exactly was that situation, Mr. Bill Gates? I don't know. FTG Bill Gates. Oops, whoops, what did I do there? FTG, there we go. FTG Bill Gates. All right, moving on. It is FTG Thursday. By the way, did you hear that the Mexican government, this is a brilliant, I'm not kidding. When I say that this is a brilliant move by the Mexican government, I mean it. The Mexican government is suing U.S. gun manufacturers, hello, not provided, and James Colley, and, okay, your boomer's showing, hey, and Bosch Tube. The Mexican government is suing U.S. gun makers over cartel crime. If this isn't peak 2021, I don't know what it is. So the government of Mexico is suing 6 U.S. gun makers and 1 Boston area wholesaler, claiming massive damage created by unlawful trafficking of firearms to cartel and criminal elements. Now, good morning, Captain Brambles, and I'm glad you're getting to hear us in the background. Good. I having a very, very important question when I see this just right off the bat, okay? Let me repeat the headline, the lead. The government of Mexico is suing 6 U.S. gun manufacturers and 1 Boston area wholesaler, claiming massive damage created by unlawful trafficking of firearms to cartel and criminal elements. Now, what do you think the obvious question that needs to be asked? There's more than one, but there is one question that popped into my mind immediately. And that question is, Is one Eric Holder named in the lawsuit? I'm just curious. I shall continue because I haven't read the whole story here. I'll read parts of it. The Mexican government suit opens with trafficking claims and naming 6 manufacturers and the wholesaler. Now, another obvious question should be, wait a minute. Who's trafficking the weapons and why are the manufacturers being sued for that? They're not trafficking the weapons. Anyway, here's how it starts. Plaintiffs, Estados Unidos Mexicanos, the government, a sovereign nation, brings this action to put an end to the massive damage that the defendants caused by actively facilitating the unlawful trafficking of their guns to drug cartels and other criminals in Mexico. Oh my, I think there's going to be a mighty big burden of proof on this. Almost all guns recovered in crime scenes in Mexico, 70 to 90% of them, were trafficked from the U.S. The defendants include 6 U.S.-based manufacturers whose guns are most often recovered in Mexico: Smith & Wesson, Beretta, Century Arms, Colt, Glock, and Ruger. Now, that's interesting. I wonder if they're also suing whatever the company that makes AK-47s. I'm curious. Another manufacturer defendant is Barrett, whose 50 caliber sniper rifle is a weapon of war prized by the drug cartels. The remaining defendant, Interstate Arms, is a Boston area wholesaler through which all but one of the defendant manufacturers sell their guns for resale to gun dealers throughout the U.S. So they're not selling them. They're selling to gun dealers, not to. I'm curious where this suit's going to go. The Mexican government specifically states that the flood of said firearms into Mexico is not an inevitable consequence of the gun business or of U.S. gun laws. Instead, they suggest the flow of guns is a result of the defendant's deliberate actions and business practices. They also point to the stringent gun controls in Mexico, then claim defendants undermine these stringent laws and wreak havoc in Mexican society by persistently supplying a torrent of guns to the cartels. But wait. So who's supplying them? Are these manufacturers supplying them, or are people? This makes no sense to me. The Mexican government points to the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, a 2005 act which shields gun makers from frivolous lawsuits, which this seems fairly frivolous to me. They then state, quote, "The United States is, of course, free to choose its societal policy reflecting a balance between the financial interests of the gun industry and the rights of victims within its jurisdiction." No. Anyway, by the same token, however, the government of Mexico is entitled to choose a different social policy that reflects different balance between the interests of victims in Mexico and the interest of gun manufacturers that foreseeably and deliberately cause trafficking with their guns into Mexico. That you're gonna have to prove that. You're gonna have to prove that because they're not buying them from the manufacturer, not buying them from the distributor, not buying them from the wholesaler. The wholesaler sells them to gun dealers, and I'm sure they're stolen somehow, but this makes no sense. But this is a tactic that we're starting to see in the United States too. That certain events where sometimes the victims of events are attempting to sue gun manufacturers. States are attempting to sue gun manufacturers. I don't know if this is gonna fly. It just doesn't make sense because they're not the ones selling it to these people. Hello, Fat Joe. How you doing? Anyway, so I'm going to just say FTG Mexico. I don't get it. All right, let's keep going because I got a whole bunch of these today. This is one that I just came across. I'm not necessarily going to read it, but it's an interesting editorial or opinion piece in Newsweek. Now I'm thinking this is interesting because for a while I thought Newsweek was just a complete leftist rag, but Newsweek's kind of becoming a almost somewhat open source, what do you call it? A website, magazine, whatever, because I've been noticing that there are certain opinions on Newsweek that I would go, whoa, would they really say this? But I just thought this was a kind of a cool article by Muhammad Kobe, who's part of the Habibi Hour Power podcast. 4 months investigation in New York, Governor Andrew Cuomo concluded on Tuesday with a damning report. Specifically, find that the governor sexually harassed a number of former and blah, blah, blah. We know about that. The details of the governor's misconduct are stomach-churning and range from inappropriate marks to unwanted sexual touching and kissing. He grabbed an assistant breast, yada, yada, yada. We heard all about this yesterday, so I'm not going to go through this too deep. Now, this part, though, I didn't talk about as much. The AG's inquiry also shone a spotlight on the governor's brother, CNN anchor Chris, a.k.a. Fredo Cuomo, who played a role in managing the response to his brother's sexual harassment scandal. Chris Cuomo assisted in strategy sessions and helped develop talking points. Now, I know they talk about how, just Chris Cuomo show didn't talk about Andrew Cuomo, right? But yeah, CNN basically would not touch the story for a while because I'm assuming Chris Cuomo, right? Well, a chain of emails from February include references to Chris. I don't love that part, but Chris Andrew wanted in, and Chris wants to make sure we have enough contrition here in developing a public response to the growing scandal. Chris also appears to have played a role in the governor's public statements, possibly even composing some of them. An email shows him suggesting the governor downplay the allegations by saying, "Sometimes I'm playful and I make jokes," in order to add, quote, "some levity to and banter to what is a very serious business." Yeah. So anyway, this is the thing here, this part of the appendix. But nothing was disclosed to CNN's viewers as the network continued to cover the scandal, nor was the extent of Chris's involvement explored when Chris finally did address what he called inappropriate conversations he had with his brother's staff. And yet, despite the massive conflict of interest, This is CNN is still standing by Chris Cuomo. While it's true that Chris did not cover the scandal about his brother, his show has included fawning coverage of his brother early in the pandemic, including bantering about their mother. So how can a channel providing Chris Cuomo that kind of protection fairly cover his brother? Yeah, because they've been covering for Chris Cuomo, who's covering for his brother. Good morning, Lord Stanhope, and always lost and nothing else. So this uniquely egregious example of CNN sacrificing the trust of viewers to the celebrity of its anchors, but it's also emblematic of the attitude much of the media had from the moment of the first accusation against Cuomo throughout the whole investigation. The investigations came on the heels of months of Cuomo's fandom from the highest journalistic venues. Cuomo was lionized by the media as a hero we needed for the pandemic, even as New York spiraled into worst performers during the pandemic. So anyway, you can read the rest of this, but he makes a good case for saying FTG CNN. Oh, and I would say FTG, the Cuomo brothers. So there, FTG to them all. All right, moving on. This is CNN reports. Biden shows he's ready to make drastic moves in the 19 fight, even if he's not sure they're legal. Now, this was before he did an action yesterday that kind of defied what the Supreme Court was saying. And I'm not sure why they have this picture of this family on here. That makes no sense to me. Even President Joe Biden doesn't know whether his new federal eviction moratorium for renters is legal and sustainable. Well, we do know that the Supreme Court, despite the fact that they let they said, well, it's a 5-4 decision, and Kavanaugh wrote a piece saying that no, it's not legal, but they let it continue for the next whatever days, just for, I don't know, sake of, I don't know. You know what? If I said it's not legal, it's not constitutional to do this, I would think you just stop it right then and there. But for whatever reason, he didn't. But And so now the Biden administration is not sure whether or not the eviction moratorium on renters is legal and sustainable, but crushing humanitarian and political pressure left him no choice but to take a chance on an emergency move. Oh my gosh. CNN is just like, see, this isn't news. This is analysis. So they can say whatever editorial bullshit they want. The new U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention scheme was announced after the White House, hampered by the Supreme Court ruling and Congress' failure to act, had repeatedly argued that it had no constitutional authority to extend the moratorium. Biden himself said on Tuesday that this new moratorium may not be constitutional and is essentially an attempt to buy time to get backlogged funding out of state coffers and into the pockets of renters and landlords. But here's the thing. You know the thing.
You know the thing.
Because... So I guess $47 billion some dollars was earmarked for some kind of relief on this whole rent moratorium, which I don't know, the eviction moratorium, right? And apparently only $3 billion had been spent. And then this eviction moratorium is coming to an end. And then they were fighting in the court because, people who own properties are like, what the fuck do you mean an eviction moratorium? I got to make money on my properties. And they're like, well, and also, okay, this has always confused me. Hello, Ridgedale, Brandon, Foxby2. It always confused me that how can the CDC, an unelected body, tell me if I own rental properties that I cannot evict people who don't pay their rent? Now, I can see if, as a business decision, as someone who owns rental properties, if I had tried to work it out with the people who rent for me, on my properties and whatnot, and maybe try to work out something that they can catch up later or whatever. But the idea that the CDC, not even a lawmaking body, they're a bunch of bureaucrats who are unelected, can have a eviction ban? How does that work? And that, anyway, the conundrum threatened to force millions of Americans who lost incomes during the stupid 19 out of their homes in an appalling twist to what has already been an agonizing year. Well, maybe they can go get jobs now because there's places everywhere looking for people to work. Do you think anybody abused this, by the way? Do you just think, oh yeah, they have a moratorium on evictions? Do you think anyone might abuse this when they can? Do you think, between the combination of the extra unemployment benefits, where some people were making more than they were making before before the pandemic, and then they can live for free and not be evicted? Do you think anyone would abuse this? Oh no! How dare I? How dare I even think such a thing? To head off massive evictions, the White House came up with the classic Washington fudge, not unfamiliar in an area of Capitol Hill gridlock, in which presidents, especially Democrats, have improvised with executive power to shield constituencies from consequences of a malfunctioning political system. What do you mean a malfunctioning political system? No, they're just going to wave their hand and I declare you cannot do evictions. And this is that. Well, all right, I'm gonna move on because some reporters began to ask some really good questions about this, and so let's move just over here to this next one by the Daily Caller because, Psaki was pressed on Americans who aren't disappointed Biden signaled he doesn't respect the rule of law. I'm not even gonna go through the article. I'll leave the article here and it'll be in the tabs. But here's how the and I'm very proud of these members of the press because this is not just Mr. Ducey. The Ducey's kid, Peter Ducey. There's someone at CBS began to ask questions of Jen Psaki. So here's him trying. Well, here's the question.
One more question on the eviction moratorium. I'll approach it this way. The president may support the legal justification, but he also publicly gave voice to doubts about the constitutionality. What's the White House's message then to Americans who heard what happened yesterday, heard what was said at this podium on Monday, can't square the two, and are now disappointed?
Okay, so here's what he's asking, because the day before this, he decided to do this, the president himself said that he doesn't think extending this moratorium would have any constitutional grounds, doing it through the CDC, right? And then the next day, when they're asking this question, then he said, "Oh, well, we're going to extend it." Now, listen. I'm going to show you a couple different clips. Listen to the. Let me think. Oh, you know how Simone Biles, when she does her gymnastics, she does the twisty things? Jen Psaki certainly rivals Simone Biles on her spinning. Let's put it this way.
Pointed that the president is signaling that it doesn't respect the rule of law.
I'm not sure there are Americans evaluating it to that degree. Maybe there are some.
Oh, I don't think people really think that the president going back on his word and then not, and then defying what the Supreme Court says. Nobody's thinking about that. Nobody cares. This is just some Washington, this is just how Washington works. Is that what she's saying here? I'm going to go back.
That it doesn't respect the rule of law.
I'm not sure there are Americans evaluating it to that degree. Maybe there are some you've talked to. I don't know. What the president has...
You haven't really talked to anybody. Because I hate it when reporters say, well, some say. Well, who are the some? And she asked that when anyway, let me let her talk.
Message to the American people, especially those who are concerned about losing their homes, being kicked out of their homes, is that he's going to do everything in his...
Whoa. Losing their homes? Losing their homes? You mean not able to stay where they're living in someone else's property right now? Like they might have to find someplace else to live. They're not losing their homes. They're losing the place that they live now and might have to live somewhere else. Right? Oh my God.
His power to make sure they can stay in their homes as long as possible. That is not just an extension of the eviction moratorium, which obviously a step was taken yesterday. It is also about using every tool at our disposal to get this money out. Again, states have the funding to extend the eviction moratorium in their own states.
Oh, well, they have the funding. Yeah, I'm wondering why. I am wondering why this $47 billion they supposedly allocated towards this, where that is or where it went. $3 billion for sure has been spent, but where's the other $44 billion? And why hasn't been used? Anyway.
That's because there was funding in the American Rescue Plan to get that done.
Okay.
So that includes asking his team, members of his cabinet, whether it's Secretary Fudge, who obviously made an announcement today, or the Department of Treasury, who made an announcement about the simplification of forms, that this is a priority, that they are to use all resources at their disposal to make sure they're communicating with Americans, that we are making it easy to get this funding out. Because that's the overall objective. The overall objective is not about one tool. It is about keeping people in their homes.
All right,
that's
so keep people in their, well, not their homes, but then he continues. This is the same. This is a different clip. Now, let's see.
8 years as vice president, half a year as president. He speaks often about democracy versus autocracy.
This is a good question.
Or overseeing this order from the CDC in the face of doubts about its constitutionality, which he seemed to echo yesterday. There's no inconsistency here. The president is... there are many people out there who say that the president is essentially not giving voice to the ethic that he campaigned on. He didn't call Congress back. He asked Congress to act. It didn't. How do you square all that?
I'm going to ask.
He's the king, and there's somebody pulling strings, and whatever he said yesterday doesn't matter because he's going to do whatever his handlers tell him to do. And his handler said to extend this moratorium. But listen to her. Is this the one? This might be the one where she completely contradicts herself, which is not unusual because she tends to do that.
Ask you who's saying that.
Well, there are plenty.
I got to ask you, who's saying that? Who's saying that? There's lots of people saying it. There's people. Ask the. Oh no, this wasn't this. That's a different thing. Anyway, listen.
I'm going to ask you who's saying that.
Well, there
Why?
are plenty of people
What
who
does it matter?
They are not just Republicans.
What is it?
Okay, I'll leave that to others to figure out. But I think what's important to note here is that the president would not have moved forward with a step where he didn't feel comfortable and confident in the legal justification.
Really?
It is
Because
also-
the Supreme Court, the only person who wrote about this was Brett Kavanaugh, and he said that this is not legal. And the court, in fact, the 5-4 decision was that it's not legal.
So a reality that there are legal steps that have been taken by the Supreme Court in the last few months. And we have spoken to that publicly. We're not going to hide from that. But he asked the CDC and his legal experts to look at what is possible. This is a narrow, targeted moratorium that is different from the national moratorium. It's not an
narrow and targeted, that is different. They're saying they're doing something new here. This is different.
extension of that. It's a different moratorium.
I'm sorry, to go back because you got it. I'm sorry, I cut off the part that was important that I wanted you to hear.
Look at what is possible. This is a narrow, targeted moratorium that is different from the national moratorium. It's not an extension of that. It's a different moratorium from a policy and legal standpoint.
So she's saying that it's not an extension. It's a new and different moratorium, narrow in focus, right? Remember those words.
So he felt comfortable in the justification and the legal approach to this effort.
Okay, now, next clip. Here we go. Now, different reporters like, I have a question too. I have a question, and it's along the same lines. Listen to this one.
Follow up on that, Jen?
Follow up?
Thank you. You mentioned that the president is old school, and Steve noted that the president spent a significant amount of time in the Senate and is also a lawyer. What was the moment that the president became certain that he was on solid legal standing to move forward with this extension? And what was the argument, specific legal argument that won out and changed his
Listen
mind?
carefully.
Because yesterday he seemed to be weighing the two options.
Well, again, as I've been discussing, the justification from the legal team is that this is a different moratorium. It's narrow. It's targeted at the areas highest impacted. It is.
Again, their legal justification is this is different from what the Supreme Court said that they cannot do. It's a different moratorium. It's targeted. It's whatever, blah, 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 blah.
Not an extension of the national moratorium.
Not an extension of the national moratorium.
That was struck down just 6 weeks ago.
So is the sense here that, this is temporary, it's still an open question about the constitutionality, but...
It is temporary. It was extended until October 3rd.
So it's,
What? What?
Wow.
What did she just say? What?
It's temporary. It was extended until October 3rd.
so it's
Oh, wait, what?
open question about the constitutionality, but...
It is temporary. It was extended until October 3rd.
I
So
thought
it's-
she said this wasn't an extension. But it is temporary. It's extended till October 3rd. Oh my gosh. It was, how long ago did she say that it wasn't extension of the original one? And yet it's extended to October 3rd. I could have sworn I'm going back. Hang on.
It's narrow. It's targeted at the areas highest impacted. It is not an extension.
It is
of
not
the
an
national
extension of the national
that was struck
moratorium
down just 6
that was
weeks ago.
struck down.
is
And then
open question about the constitutionality, but...
It is temporary. It was extended until
it was
October 3rd.
extended. How do you extend something that's not an extension? It's supposed to be new. Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. My head hurts. Is it just me? Oh my gosh. What's it? And people on Twitter are just, oh my gosh. Some of the things that people put on Twitter. And I really got to show you this because I'm truly confused. What difference in the CDC order starting August 2021 and the CDC's order in September 2020? There's not. It's an extension of the same shit. And someone says it's too bad we can't impeach just entire administration. So then I'm watching this debate on Twitter about this, and I came up on this gem because this is someone who truly believes Yes, that, what is this more? Yes, the authoritarian move of, because they were commenting on a CNN article. Oh, no, no, I didn't just do that. Here we go. They were commenting on the CNN article. Let's see if I go back one. If that'll give me, nope, it's not giving me it. Anyway, and, I know I can do. I'll click oh, shit. No, don't do this to me. Did I just lose it? I think I did. Let's try this. Okay, here it is. So this thing replying to CNN Politics, which is saying President Biden shows he's ready to make drastic moves on the COVID-19 fight, even if he's not sure if it's legal. And someone was talking about how it's kind of authoritarian, right? So this person who's probably a random, very few followers, but I don't care. But it has the sentiment that I'm finding in a lot of the people talking about this who think that this is a great idea, that we just have a moratorium, that there shouldn't even be rent. Some people are like, you shouldn't even have renters. People's housing should be free. Everyone should have free places to live, and nobody should have to work. And of course, how do you get places if everything's free and nobody works? But anyway, so this, yes, the authoritarian move of, quote, of not allowing people to be evicted. Well, if the government doesn't own the property, that you have a contract with the person living in it, and then the government says that you cannot execute the contract that was signed by the people who are living in it, there is a kind of bit of authoritarian move. But then this person who's argued, people put this up for those who can't read, and this is a gem. Okay, and we're gonna go through this crap. So here's kind of a Q&A, and it's cancer, trust me, and you'll love it. So it has some questions and then the answers, right? So here's the first question. Hi, I own a house, but my tenants can't afford the rent because of the crisis. What should I do? Answer. This is I suppose this is a uber progressive answer. Congratulations. You own what is called an investment property. We're very sorry to hear your tenants are in trouble. Have you considered lowering or even eliminating rent for your tenants during this time? Yeah. Don't worry, it gets better. New part, but that means I will lose money. That doesn't seem fair to me. Their answer? On the contrary, returns on investment, net profit, investment costs can be positive or negative. This is called risk, and it is a fundamental part of being an investor. You are not guaranteed to make money on investments or even housing. Oh, really? Well, if I'm not making money on that investment, and I'm losing money on that investment, I need to mitigate the way that I'm losing money on the investment, and that's probably within the contract that the people who are renting my property signed. Now, so yes, we and is that my? Should it? I don't know. Should it be my problem that? Oh my God, that they can't pay it? Well, yeah, it is, and that's why I wrote the contract. If they don't pay the rent, I'm going to kick their asses out. But the government, they made an authoritarian move telling me that the properties I own, I can't kick them out. Now, as a business person, I might try to work it out with them, but to tell me that I can't use the remedy that's in my contract on a property I own, that would be, what did they say? Authoritarian, that he's saying it's not. Thank you to Rideos with through Streamlabs, and the first Streamlabs sponsor of the day. And by the way, that makes you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Who says, I like how the owners of the mortgage can lose their house if they don't pay. Also, what about those of us who actually paid our rents and those paid those who paid their mortgage. Exactly. I mean, there are, and right now, if I had tenants in a property that I own and they were having trouble because of the stupid 19, I would do my best to accommodate them, but I would have to make a plan for them to pay me eventually, right? Not just because there's plenty of jobs out there. I'm just saying. Anyway, let me continue in this cancer that I'm reading. So they continue here. So this is the landlord or owner, the investor. Because they said you're not guaranteed to make money on investments, even housing. Well, kind of, you're right. I could just sell I could sell it to BlackRock, let them evict them, because then there's no eviction moratorium if I sell the property, and then they can do whatever. But anyway, so he says, I still don't think that's fair. Didn't my tenants agree to risk when they signed on to lease my house? Answer: that's not quite right. Unless your tenants have financial stake, control of the asset, they are not investors and don't share your risk. They are people who deserve a place to live. What? Yes, but they don't deserve to live in my property. Okay? So they deserve. Do they deserve a place? Well, they deserve a place to live if they earn a place to live. I don't know why they deserve a place to live just because they live and breathe. But this is the everybody should have a right to housing. Well, yeah. If they have a right, no, they have a right to earn housing. They have a right to, they have a right to access housing based on their own efforts, right? They don't have a right to my housing. But I continue. Now the next one. So this is the investor. Well, then if I'm an investor, then I'm entitled to do whatever I can to get the most returns on my investment, right? Answer: that depends. Do you think that do you think that includes forcing someone onto the street? Housing is not a luxury item. It is a necessity. Are you sure you're allowed to force people into homelessness because your investment carried more risk than you thought? Yes! Yes, because if the risk causes me to lose money and I have to sell it, guess what? They're forced into homelessness anyway. How about good God? In fact, could it force me into homelessness if that's how I make my living? Next line. But I have a mortgage to pay off. You should join your tenants and call on the government for rent and mortgage amnesty. Mortgage banks are also investors and are responsible for risk too. Don't punish people who can't afford basic necessities. They are the ones in your community. The banks are not. How is it that you're punishing someone who can't afford basic necessities? Maybe, and I know this sounds heartless, but maybe they should find a way to afford basic necessities. And maybe the house that they're renting for me is more than their basic necessities. Maybe they should find a place that covers their basic necessities for less money. Because how do you know that the house they're renting from me is not more than their basic necessities? To have a roof over your head, it could be a one-room place that you're renting instead of my 3-bedroom place. How about that? Basic necessity. And then finally, I don't have a mortgage, but I still rely on income from my rental properties. What about me? Answer: if your income is affected by the crisis, then you could try applying for government assistance. Your tenants are probably doing the same thing right now. Try asking them for help. So maybe if they're getting government assistance, they can pay their rent, right? I don't know. It's a weird attitude. So people were kind of there are a lot of people talking about this, about 7 steps from communism. Comrade, mi casa es su casa. Or forcing others to allow people to use their property without compensation. So yes, that is one of the most authoritarian moves you can make. Property rights are everything. If the government did this for military personnel, it would be a cut and dried Third Amendment violation. Many of those who are cheering the eviction moratorium getting extended will be outraged when large corporations own almost all housing and rental property. Yeah, because I'm going to have to sell my rental property because I can't afford to keep it, and then I'll sell it to BlackRock, who will then own another piece of more rental property, and then they'll own it all, and the Chinese will own it all, and then when people are really need to rent from those corporations, they don't really give a shit because they would never work with you that closely like a personal person who does this anyway. Then all of the renters will be up shit creek, and they won't have an eviction moratorium because they'll own everything anyway. So I don't know. It's some pure ass insanity if you ask me. All right, let's get through the rest of this because I have a lot. Here's another oh gosh. Remember the other day I was telling you in my neck of the woods there was a little too close to home, just event where someone was separated from their the top part of their body that goes from the neck up was separated from the lower part of their body. Well, now it's been confirmed that that person who did the act of removing the upper part of the body from the neck up, from the lower body from the neck down, is an illegal immigrant. Fantastic. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that all illegal immigrants are evil, but this one in particular was. Alex Sabaret Veltres, the 42-year-old man who beheaded a woman in Shakopee, Minnesota last week, is an illegal alien from Cuba, Alpha News has learned. Yeah, I wonder if it's interesting because he's an illegal immigrant from Cuba, and he's been in a lot of trouble. Okay, so here's the part that got me. That he's an illegal immigrant doesn't mean necessarily, because like I said, it doesn't mean that illegal immigrants are evil. It just means that it happens to be an illegal immigrant. But here's the part that really got me, really annoyed me. Niedauer confirmed that Sabarit Veltres criminal history includes multiple convictions in Minnesota and Louisiana for domestic abuse, DUI, and fleeing police officer. He is pending charges for first-degree arson, first-degree criminal damage to property, and obstruction of the legal process stemming from a 2020 arrest in Scott County. That is where Shakopee, Minnesota is. I'm trying to figure out how someone with multiple convictions in Minnesota and Louisiana for domestic abuse, DUI, and fleeing a police officer, and pending charges on first-degree arson, first-degree criminal damage to property, and obstruction of the legal process stemming from a 2020 arrest is not already in jail, you assholes. Why is this guy not in jail? Also, if he's an illegal immigrant, more so, why hasn't he been deported? Oh, is it because he's from Cuba? Maybe that's the problem. But still, all of this, and he wasn't in jail, and now he's out of jail long enough to remove someone's head from their body. Only Cubans are illegal. I don't know. Anyway, what's his name? His name is obviously he earned this FTG. But I'm saying there are more. Somewhere in that system, there's a whole bunch of people in this system that the reason that Alex Sabarit Veltres is not in jail who deserve the FTG also. I don't even know where to start on that. Anyway, moving on. Let's see. Oh, and this one. So there's a school board president. This woman was talking to before a school board, saying my motherland has been ravaged by communism because, CRT is basically a Marxist philosophy and indoctrination. So she was speaking out against CRT in front of the school board, and the school board president walks down and tears her mic away from her. An Iranian mom spoke out against the dangers of teaching critical race theory in her kid's school during a July 26th school board meeting before the board's president ripped the mic away from her while she was talking. In the clip posted on YouTube, the Iranian immigrant and Mama 3, Anita Edgarian, spoke in front of the Westchester School Board in Pennsylvania. Comments were noted by Fox News in a piece published Wednesday. It starts at the 55-minute remark. I'm not going to play it, but you can watch that 55 second. Is it 55? Oh, it starts at the 55-minute mark, which they have. I think they had it clipped here. But the school board president, here's the thing. The only reason I started this article, and you can read the rest of it later, but FTG, that guy, that's the school board president, F him. The woman's talking in front of a public meeting. He rips the microphone from her because she went like 2 seconds over, and then started berating her from the podium as she was being escorted out by the police for having the wrong opinion. So anyway, now, let's see. We'll skip this. Let's see. Moving on. A New York butcher called Fleischer's closed after staff walks out over a BLM sign removal. Brooklyn-based rock star butcher Fleischer's has been forced to close its stores because of dozens of workers reportedly walking off the job after the CEO removed Black Lives Matter and LGBTQ pride signs that employees had put in the storefront windows. The company's website says all of its locations, its 2 stores in New York City and 2 others in Connecticut, are temporarily closed. The notice at Fleischer's Upper East Side shop said the store won't reopen until at least the end of August. The beef between workers, no pun intended, and management began last month when Rob Rosania, a leading investor in the butcher, received a text from a pal in Westport, Connecticut, who was offended by BLM signs in the company's local storefront, Forbes reported. Rosania, a San Francisco-based real estate developer, reportedly called Fleischer's CEO, John Adams, and told him to get rid of the signs. Adams, who was just 2 months into the job, jumped on a train from New York to Fleischer stores in Westport and Greenwich to remove the signs themselves, according to Forbes. He then did the same in the company's New York City stores, the report says. Fleischer's workers told Forbes that Adams had joined the company with the promise of bringing accountability to the workforce of about 40, at least half of whom identified as BIPOC. I hate that term. Black and Indigenous people of color. BIPOC, or non-binary or queer. I told him he failed at that, said Hannah Thompson, 32, the only black employee at the butcher store in Brooklyn's Park Slope neighborhood, according to Forbes. You were trying to get our trust. I don't feel comfortable here. I don't feel safe coming to work because you didn't do that. Well, you know what? You don't own the store. But the worker walkout left Fleischer's, which has established reputation for high-end and pricey meats, unable to operate, and the nationwide labor shortage means it's unlikely that the company will be able to quickly replace its staff. Adams tried to relent, putting the BLM and LGBTQ pride signs back up within 24 hours after removing them, and even sending photos to employees as proof, Forbes reported. Adams did not return the post request for comment. You know, good God. F the people who are offended the signs were there. F the people who are offended they were taken down. How about we just all get along? I don't even know how to describe that. If the company wants to take signs down in their stores, why would you quit because of that? I mean, it doesn't. Oh my God. Moving on. Los Angeles Democrats here. I only need to read the headlines for some of these. And you can read the articles, but here, hang on a second. Los Angeles Democrats introduced motion to require proof of vaccinations to enter retail stores and dine in restaurants. The elected city officials in Los Angeles introduced a motion Wednesday that would mandate eligible individuals provide evidence of a stupid 19 vaccination in order to enter certain indoor businesses, including restaurants, blah, 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 blah. FTG LA Democrats, period. I don't even have to read the rest. F them. And here's the thing. So you have to require a stupid 19 stab that has not been fully approved by the FDA to function in a city as big as Los Angeles. FTG LA Democrats. Next headline. And I think this is going to start some Cuomo stuff. Oh no! And then now this is this is funny. Republican senator introduces bill requiring states that implement vaccine passports, or states that implement vaccine passports, also to have voter ID. Thank you, Republican Senator Kevin Kramer. That is a brilliant move, although it's going nowhere because, you know, Democrats are in charge right now. But he's introducing a measure that requires states mandating vaccine passports to also implement voter ID requirements, the latter of which Democrats routinely describe as suppressive and discriminatory. Speaking of which, I think my friend my friend Hotep Jesus had a funny take on this, and I think I'm still getting notifications on that one. Hotep Jesus' take on this was pretty funny, I thought. He said, so this is, here's what he said on Twitter. If a majority of black people are vax hesitant, and because de Blasio's, you know, had that you have to get a vaccine passport to go places, right? If the majority of black people were vax hesitant and de Blasio is only granting privileges to the vaxxed, are Democrats bringing back Jim Crow laws? Ha! To which I replied, yes, black people are disproportionately affected again. Because a lot of these laws are, yes, because, you know, it's funny because they make a big deal about people who support Trump or people on the right or people in red states are the ones who are vax hesitant. Do you realize probably the most vax hesitant people are BIPOC or BIPOC, Black and Indigenous people of color? I'm just saying, it's true. It is true. Let's see, more headlines here. These are going to be Cuomo related, I think. Oh, no. Yeah, Democratic governor lashes out at protesters opposing mandatory vaccines. Here, this is all you need to know. FTG. Oops. G. New Jersey Governor Phil Murphy. He's mad that people are mad that they want mandatory vaccines. FTG Phil Murphy. Good enough? Because I'm already late, so I got to go through these headlines. And some of these, the headlines just speak for themselves. Biden administration discussing a plan to require full stabs for foreign visitors. Well, are you going to tank? Are you going to tank American tourism for that? I'm just saying, the President Biden administration is working on a plan that will require most foreign visitors to be fully vaccinated before entering the country, according to a White House official. The plan is part of an effort to lift travel restrictions currently imposed on various countries because of coronavirus, the official told Reuters on Wednesday. While the White House won't lift travel restrictions immediately, its hope is to have a new system ready for when we can reopen travel, according to the official. I don't know how that's going to work. Are people are they requiring vaccines in every country? I'm sorry. I'm going to say that countries that cannot get the vaccines, many African countries, will be affected most. Again, the Democrats fighting against black people. Hello, MC. Hammer time. How you doing? Also, Fight for Your Rights. I see you're here too, and a couple others that I probably haven't said hi to yet, but I'm almost done here. So, World Health Organization. Oh, now here, this is interesting. You know, they're talking about you possibly going to have a booster if you have had the vaccine, the punch, the stab, the jab, the Fauci juice. Well, the World Health Organization is calling for a moratorium on booster shots. You know how Pfizer's trying to get us to do another shot and whatever. because Pfizer's profits aren't up enough. But on Wednesday, the World Health Organization called for a moratorium on stupid 19 booster shots in an effort to get more people around the world vaccinated. Yeah, don't you think it'd be a good idea to perhaps get more vulnerable people vaccinated around the world rather than worrying about whether or not our kids under 12 are getting vaccinated? They're still pushing that nonsense when, their chances are 99.9999999 and 732.684% of survival, even if they get it. And most kids, in fact, 300 of 650,000 of the deaths are kids that are someone between 0 and 17. Between 0 and 17, 20% of the population, basically, are not getting this, are not getting sick, or not having, they have lower symptoms, they have lower transmissibility rate. But, I'm just saying. So anyway, the World Health Organization, the reason they're doing this is they want more people who actually might be at risk to get vaccinated, that rather than vaccinate people who probably don't even frickin' need it. Moving on. And then apparently, let's see. Oh, these are in the wake of 22 pearl-clutching state attorney generals want to cede power to the feds. In the wake of calls for election audits, voter ID laws, and wait for it, the January 6, 22 riot, 22 states attorney generals have sent a letter to Congress asking it to pass federal election protection laws. The latter, sent via email on the letterhead of Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul, bears the signatures of just about everyone you'd expect. Along with Kaul, AGs from Michigan, North Carolina, Nevada, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, District of Columbia, Iowa, Massachusetts, Maine, Maryland, Minnesota, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Virginia and Vermont, all signed. Not any surprises there. The letter starts with the attempt by the then sitting president of the United States, assisted by certain state elected officials, to steal the presidential election. It goes on to say in a suitably melodramatic fashion that the peril to our democracy did not end on Inauguration Day. Legislation to fight voter suppression and prevent subversion of elections is vital to democracy. And normally I would not agree, but I don't think the AGs and I are on the same page. Here's the thing. So they want these are the Democratic governing states or majority states that want governors who want to have federal law supersede their state law on elections. Hey, you're the governor of a state, and the Constitution says that states are the ones who administer elections, and most of the elections are part of your local government, and they just you get to decide how you're going to make your delegates for the president, but you want to cede that responsibility to the federal government when it's a state, it's a state law that does your elections. Yeah, they just, it's about power, and F them. You can read that article on your own. Let's see here. Teachers union. So there's this woman who's wanting FOIA requests about critical race theory, right? And she's been fairly successful in getting these requests fulfilled, or at least, looked at. Well, now a teachers union sues mom, Nicole Solis, to prevent school district from releasing critical race teaching records. Previously, she was threatened by a lawsuit by the South Kingstown School Committee for seeking too many records regarding critical race theory and gender teaching. Now, Rhode Island chapter of the National Education Association has actually filed a suit claiming many of the records are private. Really? So they are saying public record that she requested through FOIA requests are private. They're suing her. FTG to the Rhode Island, Rhode Island chapter of the National Education Association. F them. You should be able to get information about your public schools that are public records, and I want to know what they're teaching my kids in school. Sorry. Moving on. From the Daily Wire. So Nina Turner lost her primary, right? She was running for, she used to be Bernie Sanders' campaign co-chair, and so she lost her her bid to be the Democratic nominee for some congressional seat. Now, she outspent every other candidate in this race, and she still lost. Well, after her loss on Tuesday, she said something that may be on the, I'll just read what the article says. After her loss Tuesday night in the Democratic primary election race for Ohio congressional seat, Nina Turner, Bernie Sanders' former campaign co-chair, turned to railing against, quote, evil money spent against her in what was interpreted her as launching an anti-Semitic attack. Critics surmised Turner was referring to the $2 million Democratic majority for Israel donating to the campaign of Chantel Brown. Turner raised more than $1 million more than Brown in total. In her concession speech, Turner said, "I'm going to work hard to ensure that something like this never happens to a progressive candidate again. See, we didn't lose this race. Evil money manipulated and maligned this election. See, I don't want you to relent because it took evil money. They took evil money to come here and do this. Well, I swear to you that that as sure as there is a God in heaven, Sister Turner is going to continue working with every fiber of her being until true justice reigns." Now, she spent more money than any other candidate, but evil money. Is she calling the Jews who gave money to another candidate evil? I don't know. Could it have been an anti-Semitic attack? Anyway, I didn't finish Phil Murphy there. FTG, Nina Turner, and sorry you lost. Not. All right, the last things I have open here are, I forgot about, and Rashida Tlaib, too. Anti-Semitic dog whistles during a speech. Squad member Representative Rashida Tlaib gave a speech to the Democratic Socialists of America recently where she liberally used anti-Semitic tropes at the group's national convention. "We also need to recognize that this, for me as a Palestinian American, we also need to recognize as I think about my family in Palestine that continue to live under military occupation and how that really interacts with this beautiful black city that I grew up in," she began. "I always tell people cutting people off from water is violence from Gaza to Detroit. And it's a way to control people, to oppress people. And it's those structures that we continue to fight against. Who's controlling the people in Gaza and Detroit? I know that you all understand the structure. What we've been living under right now is designed by those who exploit the rest of us for their own profit. I don't care if it's an issue around global human rights and our fight to free Palestine or pushing back against those that don't believe in the minimum wage or those that believe that people have a right to health care and so much more. I tell people, those same people, that if you open the curtain and look who's behind the curtain, it's the same people that make money, and yes, they do, off of racism, off of these broken policies. There's someone there making money, and you saw it. I wonder who she means. Anyway, you can read that one on your own. And then, Ben & Jerry's, FTG to Ben & Jerry's gave $170,000 in grants to board trustees Anti-Israel Foundation. You can read that one. FTG to them. FTG to Rashida Tlaib. And then apparently pro-Palestinian demonstrators in Brooklyn called for worldwide violence against Jews. There's a lot of news that makes you concerned about if there's going to be more violence against Jewish people, and not just around the world, but in the United States. Because this is a group in Brooklyn, a few hundred supporters of the Palestinian cause held a rally that demonstrated how overheated the left's rhetoric has become. Demonstrators weren't even trying to hide their bloodlust and thirst for violence, and they went away, no doubt, nevertheless believing themselves to be on the side of righteousness. The demonstration, which was organized by a group who calls itself Within Our Lifetime, United for Palestine, features banners proclaiming Zionism as terrorism, we will free Palestine within our lifetime, and globalize the Intifada. Intifada means shaking off or rebellion, and refers to armed struggle against Israel, including Israeli civilians. So yeah, not good. And then the rest, I think all the rest are having to do with Andrew Cuomo. Oh no. Oh, well, this is Tara Reid. Tara Reid accuses Psaki of misleading the public by saying her allegations were heavily litigated during the campaign. So this is Tara Reid is the one who accused Joe Biden of sexual touching, unwanted sexual touching, unwanted digital penetration. And so Psaki is saying, oh yeah, well that was all litigated during the campaign. No, it wasn't. The news, the friggin' media were trying to push Tara Reid off to the side as fast as they can. No, they didn't say, oh, believe all women? No. They pushed her aside and she's calling him out for it. So that article's up. And then finally, okay, wait a minute. Obama scales back super spreader birthday bash after criticism. Remember he said he was going to have 700 people at his shoreline place in Martha's Vineyard, which was going to have 475 guests and 200 staff. So apparently they're going to scale it back a little bit because they got a lot of shit for having their own super spreader event. I wonder if Mayor de Blasio was going to show up. I know the former vice president wasn't going to be there. I don't think he was invited because I don't think Obama likes Joe Biden that much. He's fine as a place marker and someone whose strings you can pull, but I don't think he really likes him. So anyway, they let's see. Perhaps the Obamas are thinking. Okay, latest guidance for large gatherings: people should instead host a video or chat party with family. That's the guidance by the mayor of New York. But anyway, it's not in New York, but they're scaling it down anyway because Obama, and you can FTG Obama, but I don't know. I don't really care. The other articles I have up. Well, you're going to have to look at them yourselves because I have to call it a day. But, ladies and gentlemen, I always end up rushing through the last few stories, and I hate it that I do that, but I had so much open today. There's a lot of interesting stuff in the tabs. Look, after the show, during the credits and during the outro, I will place every single one of these articles and tweets and videos in a single link in the description down below. Right after the first paragraph, there will be a link called a one-tab link where you can find every story that we covered today and even the ones I didn't cover. So that's it for today, people. I really do need to go. Apologize for the very abrupt ending, but I just noticed the time and I'm like, I got to get out of here. So anyway, thank you so much, sponsors today, Cryptic and Terai, and also sponsors who've been doing that for the last couple of years. I appreciate all of you and all of you who come every day and enjoy the show and hit the like buttons and do the retweets and all that stuff. Or if you just come and by and throw a comment in the comment section once in a while, I appreciate all of you. And some of you, I know, you watch at work and you can't comment or, I don't, the people who do the sponsoring, it's greatly appreciated that you're able to do that. So thank you so much. It is time for me to go. I hope y'all have a great day. Hit the like button, share the stream, the sponsor stuff's down below, and leave a comment in the comment section. I gotta go. My name's PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawgKnight, and thank you for watching today on the PDawgKnight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cashapp, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawgKnight, and I'm out of here.